All right, so there's some the directions at the top, and I'm just going to put some notes nearby. I know there's not a whole lot of space, but there's really not that many notes, so I'm going to put both there. We have to graph the following equations, which we should know from a previous course, but we'll go over it. And you also have to find the x-intercept and list the y-intercept and list the slope. I think you're going to find the y-intercept and slope to graph it, but I'm asking you to find the x-intercept also. So I'm going to start with how you find the x-intercept. To find the x-intercept always and forever in Algebra 2 class and beyond, the x-intercept is where it hits the x-axis. The y value on the x-axis is nothing. It's not up and it's not down. It's right on that x-axis. So the y value is 0. So if you plug in 0 into the equation, you will find the x-intercept. So for the x-intercept, we plug in 0 for y, solve for x, and then you write it as whatever your x is, comma, 0. So just plug in 0 for y, solve for x, and write it. You don't have a lot of space. I know you do in the corner of the paper. You probably don't have so much underneath, but like over in this corner, I know there's more than over here. And then for the y-intercept and the slope, every single equation that I've given you on here is in the form of y equals mx plus b. So how do I find the y-intercept? It's b. But how do I write it? 0, b. So whatever the b is, 0b, y-intercept. And how do I find the slope when it's in this form? It's m next to the x. So here's your slope. Done. Okay? So the only thing that's going to take a little bit of effort is the x-intercept. So you can, when you do your assignment, either graph it first, then find the x-intercept, or you could find the x-intercept, then graph it. Either. In class, I'm going to start with the x-intercept, so we make sure we practice that, because that's the nearest part. So the first thing I'm going to do, and you guys have this space on the side of your paper underneath that equation, that's where I'm going to do my work. I'm going to find the x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, what do we write down? Put 0 in for y. So here's my equation. There's y. I'm going to write 0 equals 3/4 x minus 3. Plug 0 in for y. Now we're going to solve for x. So x is like ogres. Ogres are like onions. You got to peel away the layers. If I say 3/4 x minus 3, what is the last thing I just did? Minus 3. So what do I do to undo minus 3? Plus 3. You always do the opposite of the operation. So now I have 3 equals 3/4 x. So now 3/4 x has an operation, but I'm not saying it out loud. So help me. It's 3/4. That's what I'm going to do. But if I'm reading 3/4 x, it would be 3/4 times x. So instead of timesing by 3/4, you're going to, what's the opposite of times? You divide by 3/4. But do you all like or know how to divide by fractions? Yes? Maybe if you're reminded. You can't divide by fractions. You can't. But Austin. Instead of dividing by a fraction, what would you do? You can't. That is exactly the words I was looking for. Instead of dividing by a fraction, you have to multiply by its reciprocal. So we can't divide by fractions. We multiply by the reciprocal. You guys finish my sentence. Instead of dividing by a fraction, we you know, I'm asking you to participate is because that's going to help commit it to long-term memory for you. We're going to do that the whole year. We're going to have fractions the whole year. Get over it. Maybe you'll appreciate them later, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so instead of dividing by 3/4, we're going to multiply by its reciprocal, 4/3. So let's review how you multiply fractions. I'm not taking a calculator out right now. And when you guys get to chapter 7, and we have to add, subtract, multiply, divide, solve with fractions, and none of the fractions are just numbers. They're like x's and x squares and stuff that looks like this. If you have just done it on your calculator the whole time, when you get to chapter 7, you're going to be so far behind. So unless we absolutely need our calculator, just try to do this without the calculator, okay? That's going to help you. It's going to help future you if you do it without the calculator now, okay? That will help future you. You care about future you, okay? Where am I? Okay, so right here, if I need to multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across. You just multiply straight across. Don't fall in that hole. Multiply straight across. Over here, I can't really multiply straight across because I don't have something under 3 yet. What would go, yeah, what is it? What is it? 1. So a whole number always goes over 1, and then we multiply straight across. So on this side, I'm going to get 12 over 3. Over here, when I multiply straight across, 3 times 4 and 4 times 3 ends up being 12 over 12, which is what? So it's just x, okay? And that's why we chose 4/3. So it would equal 1. That's why we chose 4/3. And then you didn't necessarily need to write this step. Maybe some of you do, some of you don't. What's x really equal? 4. So we write our x-intercept as 4, 0, and we go plot it. 4, 0. So that was the hard part. And we do the easy part. Y-intercept. Remember, it's just 0, b. So what is b for this one? 4. So it's y equals mx plus b. B is, say it again, -3. So that's our beginning. And then our slope, okay. Our slope, 3/4, 3/4. Remember that is rise over run. So from our beginning point at -3, I'm going to go up 3 over 4. Those both positive. +3, +4. Oh, it ended up here. +3, +4. You can also do -3, -4. Why can I also do -3, -4? Because that equals positive. Right. And how do I make a nice, beautiful straight line? See if my board will cooperate. I put arrows because this line goes on forever. So that's what the arrows mean. I realize some of you are like really good at this and you'll speed through it. Not everybody is, which is why I'm just taking so long. If you're working ahead, it's fine. Just check to make sure you're doing it right. Don't get too far ahead. The next question has a funny symbol. You say this as g of x. That's what how it's said out loud. G of x. G of x. You may have seen this before, but I know for myself, even when I was in pre-calculus in high school, I never really understood what it meant. Like, you know, the teacher used it and they used it. I'm going to try to help you understand what it means this year, but not today. So today it's just g of x. It is the output of the function. The function is -2x plus 1. The input is what you put in for the x value. The output is whatever comes out. So if I put in 0 for x, I get something out. If I put in 1 for x, I get coming out. So the g of x is the output. Usually you see it as y. So g of x is the same thing as y. It's just fancier, and it means some other stuff that we'll talk about later. So whenever you see that, just think about this being y equals negative 2x plus 1. And it's not just g of x. You can look ahead at number 4 and see it's h of x. Or number 5 is, no, that was g of x. I'm just looking over here. Number 6 is f of x. So there's different letters, but they all have that parenthesis x. All right, what are we going to find first? X-intercept. How do I find the x-intercept? Plug in 0 for y. If we're finding the x-intercept, we got to get rid of y. We got to make y 0. So 0 equals negative 2x plus 1. So whatever g of x is, that's really y, so that's where the 0 goes. Then we're going to solve it. So I'm going to peel away the layers. What's the first thing I should do? Subtract 1, because this has negative 2 times x plus 1, so b minus 1. Last thing that was done. Opposite. So I have negative 1 equals negative 2x. Negative 2 times x. So how do I cancel out negative 2 times? Divide by negative 2. You know what? I'm not going to change it into a decimal. I'm going to keep it as fraction because here it is, the fraction. 1/2. So I'm just going to leave it as fraction. It does mean the same thing as 0.5. And then I'm going to write that as my x-intercept. 1/2, 0. I'll graph it. Here we go. 1/2, 0. Y-intercept, it is in the form of y equals mx plus b. So what is our y-intercept? Everybody help me. 0, positive 1. And then what is our slope? Just negative 2. And when we go to graph it, you have to think of that being negative 2 over 1. I know that a negative slope has got to go downhill. Does it look like my points are on the way to going downhill? So I'm going to begin at the y-intercept, and I'm going to go negative 2 over 1, negative 2 to the right 1, negative 2 to the right 1. You put as many points in there as you need. If I went up 2, then I would have to do left 1. If I went positive 2, I'd have to do negative 1. So one of the numbers has to be negative. Straight edge. Can't see. I'm looking in front of it. I did not use the x. I started at the y, and I went down to over 1. So I used my slope. You can use the x, it's just more challenging because it's like a fraction. Other questions before I go on? Okay, the next one just says x equals 3. And yesterday on our notes, we had an equation that was just x equals some number. We also talked about equations that were just y equals some number. If you forget, you can go look at your notes. Like if you're at home and you forget. Right now, I'm going to say if x equals 3, that means every single x value, like if you made a t-chart, every single x value has to be 3. But the y values, they can be anything. Because there's no y in it, you can say y is 0, y is 1, y is 2. And then look at those ordered pairs. 3, 0, 3, 1, 3, 2. What kind of line is that? That is a vertical line. I'm going to go ahead and graph it now. You know that. So where does it cross the x-axis? If x is always 3, what's the x-intercept? 3, 0, right? It's Still going to be 3 because x is always 3. The harder question, what's the y-intercept? There isn't one. Does it cross the y-axis? No, because this line is parallel to the y-axis. So you tell me none. Yeah.
What if it's on the y-axis?
Internet.
Let me think for a moment. That would be the equation x equals 0. Hold on, I'm thinking. I don't know how that comes from.
How infinite?
I mean, I guess you would say all real numbers. There are infinitely many of them, but what numbers are they? All real numbers would be how you'd say it.
I think that was a question and I'm not answering last year.
Yeah. I never thought about that. And this is my 18th year of teaching.
You never thought of,
Because I started teaching when I was 11. What?
you never thought of it.
No, nobody's ever asked me that before. All right, what is the slope for this? Could you ride a bicycle on that? No. No. So what's the slope for this? Can you do this? The undefined. That one you can't do. Undefined. Just think about, can you ride a bicycle on that? No, you would plummet to your death. Undefined.
Wow.
No, you would plummet to your death. True. Yeah, so you would fall to your death because eventually you have no food and you die while you're falling.
I think you die from the, like, lack of air because the airs don't pass you so fast.
Maybe. I have no idea. I'm just, if I see a vertical line, I don't ride a bike on it. So. Okay, so I think we're kind of good on this stuff. We've done how many examples so far? 3. So we've got another example, number 4. It's just like number 1. Number 5 is just like number 1. I might do 4, and then number 6 is a little different. Let's go do number 6 real fast. When I post these, I'll go ahead and post 4 and 5, the ones I skipped. So if you want to have complete notes, you can just copy them down. I'll post them. They just won't be in the video. You just have to go and open the file. So this last one is f of x equals -2. And what did we talk about that f of x kind of represent? Y. Yeah. So this is basically y equals -2. That's a t-chart where the y values are always -2. So x could be 0, 1, 2, anything. So 0, -2, 1, -2, 2, -2. What kind of line do we have? A horizontal line, like the horizon. So we look at this and we say, what is our x-intercept? None. There isn't one. So please write none. Don't leave it blank. If you leave it blank, I think you skipped it. Y-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis? 0, -2, that is correct. Y is always -2, so that's where it crosses. And then slope. Can you write on that? Are you going uphill? Are you going downhill?
0.
So you're going 0, right. Hmm?
I prefer to go downhill.
You prefer to go downhill? Maybe it depends what's at the end of the hill.
Maybe just put flat there.
Maybe there's something you really want at the top of the hill. Okay, so your assignment, you're going to see, I'm going to hand it out to you. It is a worksheet that literally looks the same. You'll see it. You put them side by side. They look the same. They have different numbers, but they look the same. And it has just a few more. So good practice. You have time. I wanted to end early so that you can start this and see if you have any questions on your home. So instead of doing more notes, I want you to start number 1 right now. Okay, you don't need 6 minutes to clean up. I stopped early so that you can show me you understand number 1. So you start number 1, and if you get stuck, or if you're not sure if you're doing it right, you ask questions. I am ending the video. Like and subscribe.